ideally, Theorycraft, that's like 400 damage, so ideally, what do you want to say, 350 to be fair, if it stays around. Basically, it's very effective if the player you're using it against doesn't really counter it that well, obviously. Which is the same with, I guess, any strategy here. So let's let's show some other facts here. Wand of Lightning Shield, which a lot of people compare to Immolation on the Demon Hunter, and how effective it is early game, which definitely is. It actually has a higher range, affects more units in a larger range than regular Shaman Lightning Shield, and it lasts for 20 seconds and does 20 damage a second. So, its damage is 5 damage less. It does 15 damage a second for 20 seconds rather than 20 damage a second for 20 seconds. So the real Lightning Shield has less range on it. From the Lightning Shield from Shamans has less range on it, but does more damage over time, 5 more damage per second. And the Wand of Lightning Shield has a higher range, but deals slightly less damage, which is really good idea because a lot of people can get that Lightning Shield early on, so you don't want to have to deal with the effects of a higher damaging Lightning Shield early on in the game when, mostly it's going to be used against your worker units. I see a lot of people using Lightning Shield on, let's say, wolves or a grunt or something like that when they're bringing him in to try to deal with human peasants is a common way to use that against, or any kind of unit that's going to, worker unit that's going to be kind of in a line like that. I guess it works good versus orc peons too, but they typically will burrow up, so mainly against human peasants, or I guess acolytes too, if you want to bring your grunts in for that little level 2, level 1 chain lightning when you hit your Farseer hits level 2 and you want to scroll speed in there to try to take out some acolytes. God, I'm going off subject here. Anyway, so we're talking about Lightning Shield here. I went over how it compares to Immolation on the Demon Hunter, which it's basically level 3 Immolation, which is amazing. And you can cast it instantly on a lot of units. The damage, unfortunately, fortunately, it does stack. If you think about it, its damage is done periodically, every second, not constantly. So what happens is, let's say one effect is going to get hit, and then another kind of chance to hit on it if the unit's kind of in range of it and the damage is done. So Lightning Shield does stack, so if you can get Lightning Shield on all the units in the back there, and all the units are within a certain range, they're all going to take damage from those multiple Lightning Shields. And please correct me if I'm wrong on that, because that was just kind of a little bit of theory crafting done by how it's done, and I actually didn't do any testing on it. But I'm pretty sure that's how it works, so I'm just going to say it's fair to say that that's definitely how it does work. So definitely need to deal with it for counters. So let's go over a few counters that I was just thinking about. I saw in a few of the other replays that Jakarta sent me. Jakarta, or Jax, he likes to be called, is another AKA for his in-cup. He says he goes by TWR Jax. Anyway, some counters, let's see, was a Wisp Detonate. He says he has to sometimes deal with the Detonate effect from the Wisps, and some Night Elf players will bring Wisps along with them when they confront him against the kind of a lightning shielded army there. The problem with Detonate is it also although it's a mana burn effect, which is nice versus Shamans, it's also going to mana burn effect the Druids of the Talon that it dispels. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but that's definitely something I'll have to probably do some more testing on. Either way, it's probably okay to do that. If you can disenchant the effects of Lightning Shield, you're able to back off a little bit easier and rejuve your mana from Moonwells or anything like that. Again, not a Night Elf player, so I don't know. Fairy Dragons, probably a good counter. We got piercing damage, like I said earlier, which do extra versus the unarmored Shamans if they were just to do their regular damage, although they do attack fairly slowly. And it's not that much damage overall. And they do mana flare. The obvious downfall of the Fairy Dragons, as we saw in this replay, is the bats. So if anyone knows how to use Fairy Dragons effectively versus bats, feel free to post on the comments, or you can PM me and let me know, and maybe I'll kind of correct myself in my next audio commentary. I think the best way to counter Chain Wave, and obviously now this effect of Lightning Shield, which just makes the AE damage of Chain Wave very much more effective, versus these low HP units like Druids of the Talon and Ghouls and stuff like that, is Scrolls of Healing. Definitely want to make sure that you have Scrolls of Healing when you're up against an Orc player opting for this Chain Lightning and Shockwave strategy here. Scrolls of Healing are just going to be crucial to having to deal with that. If you don't have it, you're going to see a lot of these groups of units falling as we did in this replay. So if you're having trouble versus Orc and you're not having to deal with Lightning Shield yet, you're going to hate this audio commentary because maybe more players are going to start using it. But just to counter the effects of Chain Wave by itself, definitely want to have Skulls of Healing on you. Micro is another good way to counter this. Lightning Shield has a range on it, and you'll notice towards that last fight, actually, the Night Elf player kind of separated his Druids of the Talon individually and spread them out a little bit. And he did a really good job of even sometimes bringing the units that had Lightning Shield up on them next to the Orc units, which kind of made the effects of Lightning Shield kind of double-edged sword turn on the Orc player. Orc player, obviously having a little bit higher, or having much higher HP units, can kind of take a few hits from Lightning Shield, and it's not as effective, up against Raiders and Grunts and things like that. Lightning Shield doesn't work as well as it's going to work on really low HP units like Ghouls, Footmen, and Druids of the Talon and Archers. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, so Micro, a good way to try to counter that is to either move the units closer, and this is something that the Battle.net webpage will tell you to do as well, is to spread the units out or to bring the Lightning Shield units up against your opponent's army. Let's see, another one is Dryads. Obviously, we went over Dryads a little bit. They're magic immune. They have auto dispel and they do piercing damage. To me, they're the all-in-one counter to this. So if you can scout out that your opponent is going to be adding a lot of shamans to the army, actually even a few shamans, if you know you're going to have to deal with Bloodlust, I think Dryads are probably a good idea for their auto dispel to get rid of Bloodlust. Although Bloodlust kind of has although it has a high mana cost, it's able to be recasted pretty quickly, so it's not that big of a deal. Dryads definitely a good idea. Versus this kind of strategy, but Dryads are going to be able to take extra damage from the Raiders. I haven't seen that being a problem for Night Elf players, though, picking off individual Raiders. So Dryads definitely a good counter for unit mix anyway to try to counter the strategy. Lastly, there's Siege. Siege has been brought up to me by another player who I was discussing the strategy with. And I basically pointed out, and this is again from the Battle.net website, that Lightning Shield affects siege units too. And typically, siege units are all grouped up tight together too.